district court judge to try to become the Secretary of State. Secretary Rubio is the one who, under his leadership and direction at the State Department, is managing the day-to-day relationship with El Salvador.
God help us if Marco Rubio's in charge.
Let's just take a moment, number one, to express our gratitude to El Salvador for agreeing to take some of the most dangerous terrorists off of America's streets and to put them into a safe environment where they cannot continue to engage in acts of terrorism or coordination with the Maduro regime. You may have seen recently an FBI assessment.
Bro, I've never seen somebody look so tired but have so much going on upstairs at the same time. I'm not even trying to shit on the... Yeah, I am. I'm trying to shit on the dude. How do we feel about Stephen Miller, man? I'm going to give you guys some fun facts about Stephen Miller here in a second, but let me know what you guys think, just the first impressions.
That was unclassified, that said that the Maduro regime is using and planning to use Nicaraguan terrorists to carry out assassination plots on American soil. Now, very few in this room covered that. I'll let you all ask yourselves why you didn't cover it and why your editors didn't assign that story to you. Something I think you should think about on your own. But this is a earth-shattering piece of news. The Biden administration imported the terrorist army that our own FBI assesses is planning assassination strikes on American soil against critics of the Maduro regime. Those are the terrorists that President Trump is finding and apprehending that our Democrat judges and Democrat activists are trying to keep on U.S. soil. Nicaragua has the same legal status as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. MS-13 has the same legal status as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. These are foreign terrorists operating on our soil. And our gratitude to El Salvador for agreeing to take custody of these terrorists is immense. With respect to the case that you mentioned, there's now even been more evidence that has been made public of this person's violent, repeated threats and assaults against his spouse, someone who had repeated, documented human trafficking and human smuggling offenses, somebody that has extensively documented.
Those cells are cooking right now. Just throwing that out there. Okay, if we fill this previous 15-minute candle, this one right here, this wick, if we fill this wick to the downside, then it's worth holding to the double bottom, at least to the next fib. I think if we can get from a fib to fib, that's where I'm going to secure partial profits. But yeah, so far so good.
Documented membership in MS-13, no taxes to...
Todd, we just filled the previous wick. So if you look at, if this was on the 1 minute time frame, this would be like a double bottom here or whatever. And so if the market is going to continue to the upside, this is where it would reject. So you can choose to hold and just see if it rejects, right? Or if it breaks under. If it breaks under, you got a pretty good chance of the market continuing to the next fib. But I would secure partial profits. I mean, I did secure partial profits. So I just want to make that very clear that everything from here on out is going to be extra credit. There's a good shot that we milk this entire way down, but I don't make decisions based on what could happen on the optimistic side. Risk management means, or being a risk manager as our primary function as traders means looking at the downside. So what could happen if the market reversed all the way back up? I would lose all the profits that are sitting on the table right now, and that's stupid. So food for thought.
To pay in any of these gang neighborhoods. And I said, your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists.
On these people. The only thing we want to hear from Kamala Harris is an apology. But looking at this trade side by side is a thing of beauty. I'm just throwing that out there.
Eternal stain on the Democrat Party. Every day we read another story. Every day we arrest another alien they let into this country who raped a child, who beat a woman.
Deal with Ukraine, giving the United States.
Yeah, this is him talking about the Ukraine mineral deal that just signed. Yo, this thing is milking. Wow. If you're still in this cell, let me know. Put W Chartaddicts and then drop a subscribe. Turn on the notifications too, right? Call a friend, your old neighbors. Call your old neighbors, sister, dogs, cousin, everybody. Let them know. Chartaddicts is like that.
Access to Ukraine's key rare earth minerals. The agreement states, quote,
why is the Treasury Secretary talking about rare earth minerals? Is nobody asking the real questions? There's, well, what do you think about the leverage impact on Ukraine and Russia and as it relates to our geopolitical influence in the region? Shut the fuck up. Why is the Treasury Secretary in charge of a mineral deal with a corrupt country like Ukraine in the middle of this war negotiation and a tariff war? What the fuck? You're in charge of the piggy bank of the US. That's the Treasury Secretary's job. Taxes, right? Overseeing the regulatory authorities, FINRA, right? Taxes and the piggy bank of the US, and siphoning money from the Fed, which they've stopped paying the Treasury for some reason because they're broke. They're not broke, but like if you got all that money, then pay us. That's what you should be doing. Let Howard Lutnick deal with this. Let the energy secretary deal with mineral deals. Let the the what would it call it? The Secretary of State handle our political relationships there. What the fuck is going on? This is like bizarre. This is bizarre.
Ukraine retains the right to determine the areas within the territory, as well as its territorial waters, exclusive economic zone, and continental shelf, to be made available for the exercise of the activities of prospecting, exploring for, and producing natural resources. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is with me right now.
Man, she don't understand a goddamn word she just said.
More. Mr. Secretary, thanks so much for spending the time and joining me this morning.
Good morning, Maria.
Congratulations on this deal. This is a big deal. Can you walk us through what's most important here?
Well, Maria, it's a big deal. And I have two words for the President Trump's agenda: peace and prosperity. And this moves both America and Ukraine in that direction. The deal was something that President Trump conceived back in February. He dispatched me to Kyiv to present it to President Zelensky. So
why is the Treasury Secretary of the United States flying to Kyiv to present a fucking mineral deal? But if we had, like, this is why I don't, Fox News, CNN, CNBC, ABC, it's all the same shit. Ask a real question. RIP to Mike Wallace.
Been working on this. This was first presented to the Ukrainians on February 10th. We signed yesterday. As you know, there was a bit of turbulence in between, but I think that this is win-win for both sides, and it's very innovative. The easy thing to do would have been to give the Ukrainians more loans, pile on more debt, tax the American people more, and lose the support of the American people. Here, that the Ukrainians can see a path to economic prosperity once this conflict ends, and the U.S. businesses, U.S. best practices, U.S. capital will be part of that.
Yeah, I mean, we were all wondering if you were going to be able to close this. I understand how important these rare earth minerals are. President Trump spoke with Zelensky at the Vatican in that iconic shot that we're looking at right now. Was that conversation what closed this deal?
We were moving along, but as always, all these deals are the president's deals, and no one creates leverage like he does. No one closes like he does. There was the blow up at the White House where we were supposed to sign that day, and
right.
President Zelensky created the blow up. Now, the President Trump and the meeting at the Vatican went a long way towards pushing this over the goal. As President Trump said in the Oval that day to Zelensky, you have no cards. Well, you know what? The President Trump has now dealt him a royal flush, because now we can take these cards and go and show the Russian leadership that there is no daylight between the Ukrainian people, the American people, between our goals. So this is very innovative, and President Trump, as always, pushed this across himself.
Yeah, wow, what a deal. So no daylight. Does that mean that the U.S. is going to provide military support increased military support for the Ukrainians in this war with Russia? That's number one. And number two is, when we were all speculating about this deal, there was some speculation that 50% of the revenues would go into a fund that the U.S. had access to in terms of the value, 50% of the value of those rare earth minerals. Can you give us a sense of what the dynamics are in terms of the financials here?
Sure. So, this is an economic partnership. So we are going to.
Yo, we're making this war-torn nation of Ukraine that we propped up and gave confidence to think, yeah, you guys can definitely beat Putin. You guys got this. And we were supporting and giving arms and not letting these guys back out and getting in the way and sabotaging peace deals. We're going to make these people pay us back for the money that they took. Hundreds of billions of dollars. I think the defense contractors should be the ones to pay this money back to the U.S. All the profits that were made off of this useless and pointless war that they lobbied for. Making a war-torn country, over 1 million of their citizens have just been slaughtered, and we are going to seize their rare earth mineral rights, and then we're going to tax them 50% until we get our money back. Listen, I'm a fucking savage. I love this shit. Is it good for international relations? Probably not. I don't know a lot of countries or a lot of our allies looking at this being like, shh. But this is the cost of being an ally with the U.S. If this is what it's like being an ally, imagine being an enemy, which could work on peace through strength. Yeesh. If you drag us into a bullshit war, we're gonna make you pay us back every dime by seizing basically your sovereign wealth, your natural wealth. Interesting.
The accelerate